Some people say that the Justice League is a little too overpowered, but what would happen if you turned them into gods? Welcome to the Complete Story Series. We take trade paperbacks and single issues, we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read it dramatically back to you. All alterations of the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Don't forget to support this great industry by buying your books online at your favorite digital retailer or buying them at your local comic book store. When we last left off with the Justice League, they had managed to defeat their own evil selves from Earth 3, but they were warned that the Anti-Monitor and Darkseid were on their way. Well, what's gonna happen now that the war has finally been brought to Earth? Can they defeat Darkseid and his minions? Maybe, if they become gods.
Our tale begins with a man working his way into the deep depths of Apocalypse, the home of Darkseid and his army. The man's name is Scott III, and he was from New Genesis, the home of the New Gods. But when he was 7, the children of the High Father and Darkseid were exchanged in an effort to broker peace. It didn't work, and Scott was thrown into the slave pits where he was forgotten. Years passed, but eventually, he learned to pick the lock and set himself free, and slowly but surely, he worked his way around Apocalypse. Until eventually, he was able to break away completely and get himself to Earth, where he took the name Scott Free, and he now goes by the superhero name, Mr. Miracle. But that's where he started, not where he is now. He's breaking into Darkseid's vaults to steal himself a mother box, because rumors have been started that Darkseid is preparing for a war. He's been making more parademons from the poor souls of every world that he's conquered in the entire multiverse. And in order to stop him, Mr. Miracle will need the help of one group, the one group that has been able to stop him, the Justice League. The Justice League, though, they've been dealing with a few changes recently. While they still have Superman, Batman, Flash, Green Lantern, Cyborg, and Wonder Woman, there are now a few new members of the roster ever since the events of Forever Evil and the Amazo virus. There is an individual called Power Ring that is using the evil Green Lantern ring from Earth 3 for good as a member of the Justice League now, and Lex Luthor and Captain Cold have both been invited onto the Justice League more because of a PR situation than anything, but ever since the event of Forever Evil. They are also now working closely with Colonel Trevor, and Shazam is officially a member of the team now. Flash, Batman, Shazam, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and Colonel Trevor are all investigating an odd string of murders, all women with the name Myrina Black, and the killers have all vanished into thin air. Meanwhile, Superman and Lex Luthor are making their way into Lex Luthor's bunker to check on the status of Neutron after the events of the Amazo virus. Ever since they stopped him, cancer has slowly been killing the man, and Luthor doesn't think that there is anything he can do to save him. So, Superman challenges Lex Luthor to cure cancer, and Captain Cold snickers because he gets to watch Lex Luthor take that challenge. Back on Apocalypse, Mr. Miracle is looking for a woman that Darkseid has his soldiers looking for, by the name of Myrina Black. When Darkseid himself appears, they stare at each other, and Mr. Miracle throws a disc at Darkseid that doesn't even throw him off his footing. Darkseid's eyes then begin to fill with power as he fires his eye beams at Mr. Miracle, destroying the ground that he was standing on, knocking Mr. Miracle over. Then Darkseid walks over and places a single boot onto Mr. Miracle's entire body. So Scott struggles to reach out for the mother box that he came here for, and he tells it, "Mother box, get me out of here!" And then boom! He's gone, and Darkseid walks away, not even fazed by this. But this is only the beginning, as the Flash is talking to Power Ring when suddenly he stops because someone is climbing out of his mouth, boom tubing onto the earth through the Flash's body. The woman stands over him declaring, "First blood." And then everyone can see her, draped in Darkseid symbols and colors. And she looks at Batman, realizing that he is a threat even without powers. So she decides that she's going to get the drop on him and leaps over him, striking him in the exact locations to take him out of the fight. Then, as Cyborg fires a beam at her, she sees the technology of the mother box inside of him and demands it. She shoves him to the ground and begins tearing off pieces of his armor and throwing them aside before she's hit by Shazam. Shazam then runs over to Cyborg's aid, but she grabs Shazam by the head and stabs him through the stomach. But before she can finish Shazam off, Wonder Woman grabs her from behind with a lasso, demanding to know who she is. The woman manages to get free, so Wonder Woman calls up Superman, telling him that the League is under attack. And she has no idea who this is because the lasso didn't work. But the woman overhears and tells her, "It is no secret. I am an Amazon and I'm completing the mission that we were created for." With that statement, she hits Wonder Woman's braces with the full power of her eye-beams, shattering them before tackling Wonder Woman and bringing her to the ground. Back in the bunker with Lex Luthor and Superman, Lex brings Superman into his armory where he has a new power suit, entirely powered by kryptonite. If Wonder Woman's in trouble, he's gonna need it. But Superman takes that as another secret evil plan that Lex Luthor has, and he tells him, between this and the Amazo virus, the League is done with you, Lex. So Lex turns on Superman, hitting him with a blast of power from his suit, telling him, who are you to decide? And then someone shoots Lex Luthor, and he falls into Superman's arms, as Superman sees the shooter is Lena Luthor, Lex's sister. Don't be surprised, Superman. Everyone hates him. Meanwhile, back at the battle, the Green Lantern flies in to take out the Mystery Woman, only to have her send his energy back at him in a full feedback pulse, dropping him. She then jumps in, grabbing Jessica Cruz, the power ring, exclaiming that this is the one that she's after, because her evil power is linked to another universe, and she needs those shadows to bring down the one that she is summoning. So she draws the power out of the ring, tapping into the other universe, breaking the sky above everyone, calling to the darkness. And the Anti-Monitor arrives on Earth from the beacon. Back with Superman and Lex, Lena takes out a mother box and sucks everyone into it, and they all go to Apocalypse, just as Scott Free's mother box drops him off in front of Myrina Black, the woman that everyone is looking for. Now that they're on Apocalypse, Lex and Superman realize that this is not somewhere friendly, and they begin walking through the cities. But back on Earth, the battle continues as Wonder Woman jumps in to continue battling against the Mystery Woman. And the Anti-Monitor smashes the ground in front of her, stopping this fight. Wonder Woman looks up at him. What are you? I am desperate. At that moment, Metron appears to our heroes, and using his boom tube, he teleports them all away from the Anti-Monitor and the Mystery Woman. The Anti-Monitor then looks down at the woman. Next, you will bring me your father. And she tells him, Darkseid is already on his way. Myrina Black brings Mr. Miracle into her base of operations as she explains that she is completing the mission of the Amazons, the one that they forgot, to save the world from war, and she wants his help. She explains that she knew the Dark God was out there, that Darkseid was going to enslave the entire multiverse, so she created a weapon by having his daughter, Grail. She then sent Grail across the multiverse to find the one being capable of defeating Darkseid, and she found him, the Anti-Monitor, and she brought him to Earth. Mr. Miracle is in shock. You started this war? Here, billions will die. War is not free. There's always a cost. And obviously, we don't want the same things, as she lunges at him. Mr. Miracle makes a break for it, asking the Mother Box to bring him somewhere with friends, and boom, he's gone. Over with Metron of the Justice League, everyone wants to know what's going on, and Hal explains that this is Metron. While he may claim to be a good guy, he's not. I dealt with him recently when the New Gods attacked Oa to try and find a White Lantern ring. And Metron explains that he was only there to observe. He observes all. He has seen the Justice League save the world multiple times, but this is not the time for them to save it. It is time for them to say goodbye to their loved ones. So Wonder Woman throws her lasso on him and demands to know, who is the Anti-Monitor? And Hal tells her, it won't work. He doesn't have the knowledge, it's in the chair. He's basically plugged into a giant Wikipedia. So she asks again, differently, how do I get my answers? And he tells her, take his chair. So she yanks him off of the chair. The chair begins to teleport itself away, but Batman runs over to it and he sits down. And then all of the power and knowledge of the universe shoots through Batman, connecting him to the chair. He can see all, he can understand all, he knows the answers to everything. So he asks, who killed my parents? Joe Chill, right, I knew that. What's the Joker's true name? No, that's not possible. And then Wonder Woman stops him. Bruce, are you okay? Of course, Diana. I'm a god now. And then he asks another question. Who is the Anti-Monitor? That is the only thing that my Mobius chair doesn't know, he tells the group. And then realizing that he just told them that it was his chair, everyone tells him to get off before it does any serious damage. And he smiles. I have this under control. Back on Apocalypse, Superman and Lex are trying to figure out why they're there, because Superman's X-ray vision doesn't seem to be working. Then, all of the slaves on the planet begin to attack Lex and Superman, chanting, "Death is freedom! Death to Superman!" Lex manages to blast them all off of Superman, and then Superman punches the ground, sending them all flying. So Lex looks on in horror as Superman is bleeding. The planet isn't near the sun and is depleting Superman's powers fast. Meanwhile, back with the Justice League and the new god of knowledge, Batman, Mr. Miracle boom tubes in, and he grabs Wonder Woman's lasso so that he can tell them that he is a friend and he is here to help. He has a new plan to get the Anti-Monitor to leave Earth, and he wants everyone's help to do it. He needs them all to come with him, but Batman refuses, saying that he's going into the depths of the multiverse to find the answer to who the Anti-Monitor is. And Hal Jordan tells him that if he's going to space, that's my domain. I'll go with you. Mr. Miracle then chains Metron to a post nearby, and everyone heads off for their missions, while Metron smiles. Soon, I'll be free. Superman and Lex keep running on the planet Apocalypse, trying to avoid all of the slaves and the parademons until they find themselves boxed in and Superman unable to fly. So Lex Luthor holds his hand out. Take my hand and trust me, Superman. Back on Earth, the heroes appear before Grail, just at the same moment that Darkseid booms tubes in. Power Ring turns to Wonder Woman. Who do we fight? And Wonder Woman wonders, who is the lesser of these two evils? Over on Apocalypse, Lex Luthor and Superman are flying through the skies using Lex's suit, but the parademons can fly, and Lex isn't fast enough, so he flies over a pit of solar energy, and he drops Superman. The theory is that Superman will be granted his powers again and be able to save them, but as Superman falls through the fires, burning his own skin, Lex realizes that something is wrong. Because Superman rises up, all blacked out shouting, I should have killed you a long time ago, Lex. He is now the God of Strength! Deep in the multiverse, Batman and Hal are traversing it, looking for the origins of the Anti-Monitor, and it brings them to the destroyed Earth 3, the home of the evil Justice League. But this isn't where they stop. They need to go to Quard, the birthplace of the Anti-Monitor. While back on Earth, the Anti-Monitor and Darkseid are slugging it out with such force that everyone is being thrown down. While this is happening, Grail is battling against her brother Calabec as she manages to scar his eyes, and then Wonder Woman leaps in to continue her fight with Grail. But back on Apocalypse, Superman is now hovering over Lex, and then, in one move, kills all of the parademons. He then hovers over Lex once again, and Lex, with sweat beading down his forehead, is scared. Lex, did you honestly think that you ever stood a chance against me? You've only ever come close because of one reason. He then winds his arm up ready to punch Lex Luthor. Because I held back. Back on Earth, everyone is trying to stop the Anti-Monitor and Darkseid, but it's all worthless. So the Anti-Monitor enacts his plan, and he summons the Black Racer, death itself, to the battlefield. During this, Batman and Green Lantern make their way to the planet Quard, the birthplace of the Anti-Monitor, and Batman realizes that the Anti-Monitor came to this planet to seek the Forbidden, and he became cursed because of it. Free will is at the center of the entire universe, and the white light is where everything comes from. Batman and the Green Lantern both stand at the source of all creation, at least where it was, until the being known as Mobius unleashed it. Mobius, the man that invented the Mobius chair that Batman is sitting on, the first man to seek out the knowledge of the creation of the universe. Batman then realizes that Darkseid doesn't know the truth. He doesn't know the truth about the anti-life equation, the thing that he's been seeking since its inception. Mobius touched the anti-life equation. That is why he became the Anti-Monitor. While they figure this out, the Anti-Monitor points to the Flash and he turns him into the host of death. The Black Racer becomes the Flash. And then the Anti-Monitor turns the Flash on Darkseid. I know your one weakness, Darkseid. I was changed into this because I held what you wanted, and I am bound to it forever. The anti-life equation is in my veins. And then using his power and the speed of the Flash, he kills Darkseid. As Darkseid hits the ground in a pool of his own blood, Wonder Woman begins to hear laughter from the god of laughter, Gelios. And this is the end of Act 1. The gods are dead, but will there be new gods? The Justice Gods. Thank you for joining us, and make sure you go pick up the next issue in the Darkseid War if you want to know what's going on, because it will be a little while before we can get to it. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.